We've covered a lot of disturbing horror games on this channel. We've done Fear and Hunger, we've done Darkwood, we've done Squirrel Stapler, but what if I told you there was a game with the absurdity of the Squirrel Stapler with the serious message like Fear and Hunger? Well, then I present to you Ratshaker. A similar game to Squirrel Stapler, as in it's possible there is no big secret here and I'm looking too far into it, but despite this, I will once again be diving into it. Ratshaker is an indie horror game developed by Sunscorched Studios in late 2024. It involves you doing exactly what the game's title implies: shaking a rat. When you open up this game, you are greeted with a commercial.
Are you tired of dealing with pesky rats that just won't leave you alone? Introducing Ratshaker, the fast, easy, and fun way to keep rats in check. Just hold, shake, and watch them.
It abruptly cuts to you standing in a field with a rat in your hand and a Ratshaker meter at the top of your screen. There is no story, no telling you what is going on or what the story is here. It's just you in a field with a rat. It reminds me of one of my favorite images ever, of the guy holding the rat with the Redbubble sticker in the background. I use that for my Be Right Back screen when I stream, on those very few occasions I do. Whenever the Fear and Hunger update comes out, I will be streaming that, by the way. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if this idea actually spawned from that image of the rat being held. But let's get into the gameplay itself now, shall we? Like I said a second ago, you spawn in a field after that commercial and are told in big bold letters to shake. So, shake it. Shake the rat. Left click and move your mouse to shake the rat and fill up the gauge. It'll make very weird, funny noises in a low voice. I also would like to acknowledge the comedy that is the rat is a super low-res image. This is obviously on purpose. They could have used any 3D model or high-quality picture, but the fact that the rat is like 2 pixels big makes it even funnier. And even more terrifying when you understand what the rat signifies. Fill up the gauge and you'll start hearing very quiet voices all around you. Almost too quiet to make out. But it sounds like they're saying stuff like, shake the rat. Shake it good. You are the Ratshaker. Shake it until it tells you what you need to know, or something along those lines. Also, after you fill up the gauge, a house will spawn in the distance. The game will then tell you, once again, to shake it. So, do it again. Shake the rat to fill up the gauge, which this actually takes about 45 seconds each time, so it's not a short amount of time. As soon as you fill up the gauge again, another structure appears in the distance. It would appear to be a windmill, or something like that. Then once again, big text on the screen says, stop. Feel it. Taste it. Listen. The rat then speaks, because of course it does. It will say,
Doesn't matter how much you shake me, you can't undo what has been done.
well, we're just doing the Silent Hill 2 trope, perhaps, of having a guilty conscience about something. What did we do, though? Well, we're gonna find that out, I guess. You can hear the voice in your head say,
keep shaking until it gives you the answers that you need to know. Shake it, shake it, shake the rat.
so whatever shall we do? Oh, right, After you fill up the gauge for the 3rd time, text on the screen will tell you to squeeze the rat. You can do so by holding right click, but be careful, holding it too long will kill the rat and result in a game over. After you squeeze the rat a couple of times, it will speak to you once again.
I yield. You've broken my will, O great shaker of rats. The answers you seek are over there. Beyond that hill stands a house that was not there before. A house that has no familiar shape. A house built by sin. Go now, Ratshaker. Seek what you yearn for.
So I guess the only thing to do now is to go and look in the house with the unfamiliar shape. The house of sin, as the rat says. But what if you go to the barn that appeared?
What?
Well, an anvil falls on your head, killing you and making you restart. The whole beginning sequence isn't all that short, so it will set you back about 5 minutes, so proceed with caution, I guess. But it does give you an achievement, so do it if you want. Anyway, walk up to the house with the red door, and you will notice flies just hovering around outside the door, which means there's probably something dead in there. The rat will then say,
This is where it happened. You must know what's inside, and there's no turning back. You must find it. Abandon hope, ye who enter here.
So whatever we did, it involved this house. And it also says a quote from Dante's Inferno, which in the book, that quote is on the gates of hell. It will also once again tell you to shake the rat and show you the gauge again. This is the last gameplay element it will introduce. You fill that gauge, and then you can right-click to interact with things, as long as you have some of the gauge filled up. Do so and open up that red door. Opening it up will show a TV static doorway. You can enter and then see the truth. In the entranceway, the rat will randomly say things sometimes if you squeeze him or shake him, things like,
Your actions have permanent consequences, you know.
and
You have a nasty attitude.
uh-huh. Anyway, you will see several famous paintings which are replaced with pixel art of those famous paintings, but with rats. Like Saturn devouring his son, but with rats. And as well as Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan, but with rats. And the hands resist him, but with... Anyway, open the next door and find a quite normal house, complete with a living room, a bathroom, a master bedroom, and a room with seemingly empty boxes, which will become important later, as well as one room that is closed until you find some objective in this house. If you go to the TV in this house, you can turn it on and see that commercial from the beginning of the game. But as soon as it turns off, some photograph gets spit out of the VCR player. But not a whole photograph, just a fourth of one. It seemingly is impossible to tell what's on this photograph until you find the other 3 pieces. But now that the door is open, we should go in, shall we? Going in this door, you will be met with a slightly red tinted hallway. There is blood on the floor now, along with some newspapers that are too hard to make out. There's also little bits of cinder in the air, as if from a fire. Keep walking and you'll find the same exact house. It's very PT-esque. It's a loop. Every time you make a loop, the house will repeat, but with slight differences. Large text on the screen once again tells you to find it. If you go to the TV again and try to use it, it will show that same commercial, but with bits of the very beginning of the game spliced in. Don't stand next to it too long though, as it will explode and kill the rat if you are too close. And you don't want to kill the rat, because if you do, it will once again reset you a ways back. You can also find a stove here that if you turn on, the rat will tell you to
Stop running.
and it will explode. In the living room, you can now find 20 or so pictures of a woman with her face blotted out. There's also something invisible near the couch, where if you interact with it, you get a strange interaction.
She never loved you.
And the game will set you back once again. So that's something that happens. It also could be the couch you're interacting with, which we'll get to later. The door that was closed in the previous version of the house will once again be closed. The master bedroom will be pretty much the same, and the bathroom will now have blood instead of water. Going into the once empty room will prompt you with a baby crying. Here there is a crib with blood all over it. Interacting with this will cause the second fourth of the photo to spawn in. It looks like a woman's face. This will also spawn in a weirdly censored body of a child to drop in the crib. So this is pretty on the nose what this means, but we'll continue and talk about the analysis later. The closed door from before is now once again open. Going down the open doorway will now prompt you with a bunch of glass bottles hopping in a jump scare like fashion, which actually did kind of get me a little bit the first time. And then another door will open. Opening it will show you a room with static and a bunch of objects, like a bed, pictures, newspapers, and glass bottles. Don't step too far into the static though, because once again it will reset you, and going through the door in the static room will bring you to a much more bloody sight. There will be weird fleshy bodies with no features floating around in this hallway, as well as bottles and more paintings. Continuing forward, you'll be greeted with the same house a third time. This time the TV is swarming with rats, and going into the bathroom will cause the toilet to explode, and as someone with violent IBS, I can relate. The empty room now has a weird body with horror elements in it, and it looks like that scene from Berserk where Griffith is being reborn into Femto. But there is another censored baby over the crib. In the master bedroom, there is another TV. On it, there is this weird Marble Hornets-esque show on it with what looks like a dead body wrapped in a body bag or something, posed all over in various photographic positions. Interacting with it will once again cause the TV to explode, so don't be too close to it or the rat will die once again. There's a new door near the master bedroom that could be a closet, and going in it will for some reason cause the rat to become a glow stick and light up. Because yeah, going down these stairs, something will randomly spawn in sometimes. It's a baby. It's following you. If you touch it, it will cause you to get hurt or angry or something, and you will have no choice but to choke the rat very fast, and you cannot stop it. If you're not careful, you will accidentally kill the rat this way, so try not to touch the weird baby following you. Down here, there is just straight weird blood and flesh on the walls, as well as a labyrinth you need to navigate. Continue through the maze until you get to a wall of flesh with an impassable door. Here there is another fourth picture embedded into the wall. Pick it up and the door will open, letting you continue with the labyrinth. Going through the door on the other side will grant you another weird flesh person and a bunch of bottles and the last fourth of the picture. The picture is clear now. It's a woman with your same hand that's in the game outstretched near her neck. This is obvious what it is saying, but let's continue with the analysis for later. The rat will give you another speech.
I can smell it. Down there. I wonder if she knows what happened under her own floorboards. Enough. Your iniquities have led you here. There's no going back now. Face the truth.
Going further down the rabbit hole, or should I say the rat hole, you'll be in the final area, the basement. Here there is another maze with some prison cells and blurred bodies, as well as a fridge that you can open and it will be filled with static. Unable to do anything with this other than the rat telling you to stop running and face what you've done. There is then a TV with that same show with the weird body bag. Finally, there's a room with something on the floor.
Look at what you've done. What started with vows of love now ends wrapped up in plastic. Reduced to rat food. You are the wife shaker.
It is the body that was on the TV. The rat will then spell it out for you. You are the wife shaker, not the rat shaker. That is the end of the Ratshaker, with police sirens and a title card once again. This game was made in 48 hours, which is pretty impressive actually. And although the story is kind of similar to a lot of things, it approaches it in a unique and humorous way. So it is very impressive for a 48-hour game jam. But what does any of this mean? Well, let's get into the analysis, shall we? There is several different theories on what is happening here. Let's start with the one that I subscribed to and thought of originally when playing this game. You are a normal man in a marriage. Eventually, you fall out of love and you start drinking your problems away. You spiral and spiral until you are a shell of your former self. Remember the fridge in the basement with the static? I believe that is telling you to stop running and drinking your problems away. Just when it looks like things cannot get any worse, your wife falls pregnant. Unable to cope with bringing a child into this world, you turn to domestic abuse, hurting your wife in different places but not killing her. Hence the bodies that are unblurred, although bloody. There is no need to blur them because they are not dead yet. There's clearly some violence going on here. Eventually, the thought of the child coming into this world is too much, and you, well, for lack of a better term, become the wife shaker. You strangle and kill her. You then take her to the basement, wrap her up, and wait for the police to catch you while your psyche crumbles and you see all of this. You kill your pregnant wife. Hence why whenever you find that weird blurred baby following you, if you accidentally touch it, your character's vision becomes red and you start squeezing the rat and are unable to stop. Seemingly being so irrationally angry, you can't help but squeeze the rat, or domestically abuse your wife. Although I feel this is the correct theory and what actually happened, there are some things that don't fit here. There's the quote about how she doesn't know what's going on under the floorboards, and all the fire motifs and the burning down the house thing with the stove, and then why the rat? It seems arbitrary. All that brings us to the second theory on what could have happened. Everything is the same as before, but the baby is born. Through neglect, the baby somehow gets away from you and your wife and finds some rat poison that you bought to deal with the house that is in disrepair because of your drinking habit. The baby dies and your wife freaks out. You choke and kill her, and everything is the same after. This is possible as well, and I believe this is what most people think happened. There is, however, one more theory that I saw on a Twitter comment about the game. You are a serial killer. You kill people and hide them in the basement. The rats are attracted to those dead bodies and you have to buy rat poison. You are doing all of this under your wife's nose. While all this is happening, you, killing people, and your wife, who is too injured to take care of the baby, and you, too busy being a quirky serial killer, neglect the baby. Rats find their way into the baby's room and eat the child alive. You find this and fly into a rage, strangling your wife and then using the stove to burn down the house, killing yourself in the process. The police come, and that's it. So that's about all the theories I can think of about Ratshaker. That is the Ratshaker. A weird, somewhat humorous game about a serious topic. I'm curious on what you think is going on here, and if you subscribe to any theories I mentioned, or none of them. I don't know what video I'm going to do next, so if you have any weird esoteric horror games like this you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments, and if I like it, I might make a video on it. Your name could be in a video, like this guy right here. I really do appreciate you, and I hope you all have a very happy holiday. I love you all, and I will see you next time.